How dare you spill water on my floor? Screamed Clara, her face red with anger. Before anyone could blink, slap! The sound echoed through the golden mansion. Her palm had landed hard on the wrinkled cheek of her old housemaid. The woman stumbled, holding her face, tears mixing with shock. The guards and cooks froze in silence. But just as the echo of that slap died, the old woman slowly raised her head and whispered through trembling lips, "Clara, my daughter." The room went silent. Clara's heart stopped. Her hand shook. The world around her spun. She had just slapped her own mother, the woman she had searched for all her life. Clara was a very rich woman. She had cars, big houses, fine clothes, and many workers in her mansion. Everyone in the city knew her name, but deep inside, Clara was not happy. She had no family, no real friend. She grew up in an orphanage, thinking her mother left her because she was not loved. When Clara was a baby, her mother, Mrs. Grace, had no choice. Her family forced her to leave her baby in the motherless home. She cried every night thinking of her little girl. She prayed that one day she would see her again. Years passed. Clara grew up strong but with pain in her heart. She worked hard, studied, and became a successful businesswoman. She always said, "No one helped me. I built myself." She didn't know that her mother Grace was still alive, living in the same city, but poor and sick. One day, Grace heard on the radio about a rich woman named Clara Johnson, who was helping orphans. She froze. "Clara Johnson, that was the name I gave my daughter," she whispered. Her heart started beating fast. Could it be my child? Grace prayed and decided to go find out, but she knew her daughter would never recognize her after all these years. So she disguised herself as an old poor woman looking for a maid's job. She went to Clara's mansion and begged the gate man, "Please, I need work. I can cook, clean, and watch." When Clara saw her, she looked at her with disgust. "You are too old, but fine. I will let you stay. You will clean the kitchen and wash my clothes." The old woman bowed and said softly, "Thank you, ma'am." But as she walked away, tears dropped from her eyes. She was happy to be near her daughter at last, even if she had to serve her as a maid. Every day, Grace worked hard washing, cooking, and cleaning, watching her daughter from far. Sometimes she would whisper, "My child, you don't know who I am." But Clara never smiled at her. She shouted often, insulted her, and sometimes even threw things at her. To Clara, she was just an old poor maid, but to Grace, she was the daughter she had prayed to hold again one day. Days turned into weeks, and the old woman kept serving quietly in her daughter's house. She cleaned the mansion from morning till night, cooked delicious meals, and washed piles of clothes, even when her back hurt and her legs shook. She never stopped working. She only wanted to be close to her daughter, even if Clara never knew who she was. Sometimes when Clara left for work, Grace would sneak into her daughter's room, sit on her bed and smile. She would touch Clara's childhood photo that stood on the table and whisper, "My little girl, you have grown into a queen. But I wish you had love in your heart." Then she would quickly stand up and return to her duties before Clara came home. But Clara was harsh. She shouted every day. She didn't like anyone making mistakes in her house. One morning, the old woman accidentally spilled water on the floor while cleaning. Clara was hosting her rich friends that day. She walked into the living room wearing her shining dress and heels. The water touched her shoes and she got angry. "Who did this?" she screamed. "I am sorry, madam. It was a mistake," the old woman said, shaking. Clara's face burned with pride and anger. Her friends were watching. She didn't want to look weak, so she walked straight to the old woman and shouted, "You foolish old woman! Can't you see? Are you blind?" Then slap. Wah! The sound filled the whole house. Everyone froze. The old woman's face turned to the side. She held her cheek and looked at Clara with tears in her eyes. Slowly, she fell to her knees, but instead of shouting back, she whispered softly, her voice shaking, "Clara, my daughter." Clara blinked. "What did you just say?" The old woman looked at her again. Her hands trembled as she opened the small old necklace from her pocket. The one she left around her baby's neck long ago. She held it up and said, "This was on your neck the day I left you in the orphanage. You are my child." Everyone gasped. Clara's hand dropped to her side. Her heart started beating fast. She looked at the necklace, then at the old woman's face. The same eyes, the same little mark near her lips. No, no, this can't be true, Clara whispered, stepping back. But deep inside, she knew it was true. The woman she just slapped in front of everyone was her mother. Her knees grew weak. She covered her mouth and cried, "Oh my God, what have I done?" But it was too late. Her mother was already on the floor, crying softly, clutching the same necklace that carried her daughter's name. Clara fell to her knees, shaking. Tears rolled down her face as she held her mother's hand. "Mama, Mama, please forgive me. I didn't know it was you," she cried loudly. The guests were silent, some with tears in their eyes. The old woman smiled weakly, touching her daughter's face. "My child, I didn't come for riches. I came to see you before I die." Her voice was slow and soft. "Mama, don't say that, please. I will take you to the hospital. I will take care of you. I will make it right," Clara cried, holding her tighter. But the old woman only whispered, "I love you, my daughter. I never stopped praying for you." Then she closed her eyes and went still. Clara screamed, holding her lifeless mother in her arms. The whole house was filled with sorrow. The same hand that slapped her mother now shook her body, begging her to wake up, but it was too late. Days later, Clara buried her mother with honor. She built a small home for poor widows and mothers, naming it Grace Home. After her late mother, she cried every time she walked past it, remembering how pride and anger blinded her from seeing love. From that day, Clara changed. She became humble, kind, and full of compassion. She helped the poor and respected every old woman she saw, saying, "Every mother is a gift. Never raise your hand against one." Moral lessons. 1. Never look down on anyone because the person you despise may be part of your destiny. 2. Always treat your helpers with love and respect. You never know who they truly are. 3. Pride destroys, but humility brings peace. A mother's love never dies, even when the world turns against her. My dear viewers, thank you so much for watching this touching story. I hope it touched your heart and reminded you of the value of love, forgiveness, and kindness. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, share, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our next emotional and life-changing stories. Stay with us because more powerful and touching stories are coming your way. God bless you for your support, and remember, every mother deserves honor.